Jeff is a big Birmingham City fan who joins us live. Jeff, good morning. If it indeed is the case, and it's unconfirmed at the moment, yet to be confirmed, but we think we're on the money with it, what do you make of that decision that it's time up for Wayne?
Yeah, hi guys. Great show as ever.
Thank you, Jeff.
Finger straight on the pulse as ever. To me, it was all about commercialism. I don't think it got anything at all to do with football. John Eustace wasn't a face. He'd got the team playing to a degree the way that they knew what they were doing. Wayne came in, completely altered it, completely changed the system around, and the guys just couldn't cope with it. The team's just not good enough. The team's not good enough to play the system that he wanted them to play. And for me, the appointment of Wayne Rooney was all to do with commercialism. I mean, at the end of the day, Birmingham City are very rarely mentioned on talkSPORT until Wayne Rooney became the manager. And then all of a sudden, we were headline news, we were first on talkSPORT, we were on Sky Sports News, all over the place. It was all about commercialism, nothing to do with football. His record as a football manager is absolute pants.
Jeff, I'm seeing a lot of messages coming in from Birmingham City fans saying we needed somebody who knew the championship. We needed somebody who was across that division. It seems almost obvious to say it now, but was that the case?
Well, yeah, but he didn't know the championship, did he?
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, what's he done? Simon is banged on. What's he done? 27% win rate with whoever he's been with. And most of that win rate is probably with the MLS. So, you know, how can you employ somebody who's got no idea about managing a football club in the Championship?
Yeah.
I know he did okay at Derby, because he was under a lot of pressure with all the points deductions and everything. But for me, no, I'm sorry. He just, great player, great England international. But as a manager, sorry, just hasn't got it.
I mean, Jeff, I'm noticing you're 1, 2, 3, 6 clear of third bottom Sheffield Wednesday at the moment. But I mean, it's precarious, isn't it?
Well, we've only scraped past Sheffield Wednesday. And, you know, at the time, they were the worst team in the league. Well, apart from Birmingham City that were playing at the time. But, you know, we scraped past them. The teams that we've played are not the top teams in the division. You know, there's teams who we've played who are not up there challenging. Okay, we played Leicester and Norwich. We beat West Brom under John Eustace. But under Wayne Rooney, we just haven't looked like beating anybody.
Jeff, stay with us. Stay on the line because you might not like this, but let's go with it. Villa fans queuing up to join us. James is one of them. James, as a Villa fan, what do you want to contribute this morning?
Morning, guys. Just like to say Happy New Year and great show to you.
Thank you.
As always. I went to school with John Eustace, and I think he was doing a cracking job at Birmingham, even though I'm a Villa fan, and it was great to see a friend doing so well. But to sack a manager who was, you know, getting to the heights of sixth to replace him with Wayne Rooney, like you say, a great player, but no credentials whatsoever. I think it's fully deserved, and the board have got what they deserved. It's their choice of getting rid of a manager that was doing great, and then bringing somebody who's got no credentials. Win record in America, which is a Mickey Mouse league, of 27%. What did they expect?
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, exactly, James, is your take the same as many Old Firm fans in Glasgow? Celtic fans want a strong Rangers fans want a strong Celtic. You want that competition, don't you?
Yeah, it would be great to see them up there because then we could beat them again. So, you know, But yeah, you know, in the Midlands club, we got Villa and Wolves in the Premiership. It would have been nice for another Midlands team, whether it's West Brom or Blues, to be up there with us. You know, the more derbies for the Midlands, the better in our region. And I just think they just fully deserve what they've got, and getting rid of a great guy in John and replacing him with a man with no credentials.
James, thank you for that. Jeff, just before you go, it's interesting hearing James, the Villa fan, talking about his mate John Eustace, right?
It's great to hear a Villa fan talking a lot of sense, to be honest. You know.
Who's next, Jeff? I mean, if this should be confirmed that Wayne is going, I mean, ideally, you want that ownership to get their heads together to get the decision right this time, right?
Absolutely, 100%. But who's available? Sincerely, who's available?
I mean, Simon, come in on that one. I mean, if it was you at the top of the house at Birmingham City today, you give it a lot of thought, but you give it surely to somebody who knows the Championship.
Yeah, but you You give it to somebody that understands the obligations upon them and also is able to look at the scenario in front of them. Clearly, Wayne Rooney tried to impress upon the team. As we're talking to this caller, he's saying they overloaded them with information. Well, once you realise that that's not going to fly very well, you start to pivot, and that's what Wayne didn't have the experience to do. You can, like someone saying on here, John Mousinho has no management credentials, yet Portsmouth are sitting top of their league. It's about the personality of the individual and the capability that they have. There'll be an embarrassment of riches of managers around that you can look at. Depends what you think you need right now. If you think you're in a full-on relegation challenge right now, then you look at people that can get you out of it. Standard default setting, people like Warnock are always available to do jobs that if you need them to fix a current problem.
Yeah.
But Birmingham should have been looking up, not down.
Yes.
They wanted fearless football. The only thing they seemed to be not fearful of was getting relegated.
Yeah. As you say that. Listen, Jeff, thanks for your time and thanks for your call. Happy New Year, you guys. Neil Warnock to Birmingham. Surely someone like Neil will keep them in the Championship. He seems to be the go-to person in a situation like this on a regular basis.
It's easy thinking. There's nothing particularly inspirational about it, but it depends what your problem is. If the malaise is set in, you've got a side now that's been beaten 9 times out of the last 15 games. So they're like most footballers, they're quite fragile, and their egos get ahead of themselves, and their abilities don't often follow it. They'll now need to be picked up off the floor because if I don't know how much of it's a reaction to Rooney, and if any different voice that gets them setting up differently and goes back to what they were doing before may just right this particular wrong, but they've got to make a decision, and clearly, again, I make the point. It seems like I'm labouring it. Why would Gary Cook be the next person that you trust to make the next decision? This is the former CEO of Manchester City. He should know damn well better. It's a poor appointment. If an idiot like me sitting in the studio can sit there and say, this is a difficult appointment, this is not going to work, why would you bring Rooney in the door? Why wouldn't somebody that supposedly got his finger on the pulse, knows what Birmingham need, knows which direction they're going in, and has the ear of the owners, advocate for Wayne Rooney?
I mean, it's looking like it was a big name punt that didn't work out.
Yeah, but look, winning football is what you're trying to... You have a side that's 6th in the league. What was the possible reason for wanting to change it? I know there's an argument about commercialisation. I know there's an argument from my point of view about being wooed by the name. But the bottom line is that's why you have experienced CEOs in positions. That's why you have somebody that was formerly the chief executive of one of the biggest football clubs in English football that have now gone on to dominate English football because of that experience, and this is what you get.
Yeah.
It's poor. It's not good enough.
I see a lot of Birmingham City fans, the same name, Simon, get Steve Cooper in. Steve Cooper's available. Get Steve Cooper.
Would Steve Cooper want to go to Birmingham?
Would Steve Cooper go to... I was just going to say it. Go to a team
he's a Premier League manager.
20th in the Championship.
He's going to sit there...
Is he a Premier League manager?
Well, he's going to think he is. In the same way that Sean Dyche, longer credentials...
Do you think he is now?
I think Steve Cooper's a decent manager.
Yeah.
I think he's... I mean, tragically, every time I write an article about somebody in a newspaper, that something happens to them. I've written an article about Eddie Howe. He hasn't won a game since. I wrote an article about Steve Cooper who got the sack. I think Steve Cooper would wait and see what was available to him, whether the Crystal Palace rumours are real and substantial, given the fact that Roy Hodgson's going to be out of contract in 4 months' time.
Yeah.
I think he'll probably wait, and I don't see the appeal of Birmingham City, besides the fact that it's a big football club that might have ambitions that have made a mistake and now need to pivot off the back of it.
Would you go back to John Eustace in a situation like this? Is that serious? Is that too much of a biting of the bullet?
Would you go back to John Eustace? You could.
Would he go back to them?
Would he go back to them? Of course, the football people would go back if there was a right reason for them to go back. I think they'd find
reports suggest he's open to returning.
Well, I'm sure he possibly is. I mean, not entirely sure that he'd want to go back and work for the same sort of people that his reward for giving them some modicum of success was to be fired for someone that looks better on paper.
There's Nathan, one of many, saying there's only one man for the job. If Wayne has gone, bring in Warnock, turn it around. Warnock would be the man. Well, Simon, I'm sure you'd advocate just that with your experience of Neil Warnock, of course.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.